Hey cats, it's Eddbud here. A viewer requested video today, an insight into my weekly training regime. Going to talk about the running, the sessions, and the nutrition. I'll probably leave out the pizza and the beer though, because it's not the best stuff to eat if you want to be a runner. Or maybe it is. Who am I to say? Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. If you've yet to do so, help the channel hit 30,000 subscribers. We're almost there by hitting that subscribe button, but also clicking the bell below for notifications when we launch those new videos for you. Also give this video a thumbs up like, that really helps a lot. And share it with your running buddies. Danke schön. A load of viewers have requested a video where I give you an insight into my weekly training. I know quite a lot of you follow me on Strava. If you don't, there's a link down in the description. And I often document my training on there, what I've been doing and why I've been doing it. I'm going to go into a bit more depth today for you. It does seem to be something that people are really interested in. You know, I'm just a guy that runs a lot. But if it helps some of you to improve your training, then fantastic. I predominantly look at racing half marathons. I am going to do a marathon perhaps later in the year, but at the moment half marathon's my distance, and then the 10Ks and a little less into the 5Ks. 5Ks are a fun test really, but I like 10K and the half marathon. I think that suits me well, being a stick thin man of windsock-like capabilities. So on a typical week I'm hitting about 40 miles, so that's about 65 kilometers or so. It varies a little bit. If there's a race on that week, I'll pull the mileage back somewhat and the intensity just to give the legs a rest, so I'm at peak physical condition. I'm going to tell my wife that I'm in peak physical condition. She will laugh. A typical week might see me come off a long run on a Sunday, or it could be a race even, so I tend to take Mondays very easy. I had to this week. It was exceptionally hot. On Monday and Tuesday we've had a heat wave here in the UK with the highest temperatures ever recorded. It really was melting weather. So this week I just did a 3.5 mile run. It was about 30 minutes. That's what I managed to do in 30 minutes basically. Very easy effort. So it's about 5 to 6 kilometers, something like that. Keeping the heart rate very low this week. It was 125 beats per minute average across the run. Nothing tough or energy sapping this week. The heat was a limiting factor really. It's almost like running with a handbrake on, I suppose. And that was at 7:30 in the morning, 17 degrees. It was crazy. I know that some of you out there have got much more testing conditions like that, but we just get that for a couple of weeks in a year and then it's back to torrential rain, which is what we've had today. Tuesday, throwing some much needed speed into the equation. 6 miles total with an average of 7 minutes 32 seconds per mile. So within this session I had 10 by 2 minutes at my half marathon goal pace with a minute in between recovery, where I'm just sort of gliding along like a swan. So target half marathon pace for me is 6 minutes 51 seconds per mile. It's etched into my mind. So that's 4 minutes 15 seconds per kilometre, if that's your sort of thing. This watch is on miles, this one on kilometres. That's how I roll. I managed to nail most of those reps, no problem at all. I always find the first 2 or 3 are a bit more difficult, but once I've got warmed up appropriately, the latter part of the sessions are just that bit easier. I don't know if you guys find that. Maybe if you do, let me know in the comments. This takes me a couple of miles to get warmed up. Maybe that's something that I need to think about and consider very carefully when I'm racing as well. Maybe I need to do a slightly longer warm-up, but at a lower intensity. I utilise the Alphafly Next% 2 for those reps, and they work surprisingly well. Didn't really feel that this shoe's any heavier really than the original, even though it is by a few grams. Certainly feels propulsive to me, and it's an exceptional lockdown on the top of the foot, so working out really well for that type of session. I like those sessions because you can log some faster sections, but also you're getting a little bit of that sort of daily sort of speed in there as well. I think it boosts your recovery capabilities a little bit. After a tougher session on the Tuesday, an easier or perhaps better termed steady effort in the Zoomfly 5. So Wednesday, a much slower 8 mile session this time round, about 7 minutes 56 seconds per mile average, so it's a little bit under 5 minutes per kilometre. I think I must be getting a little bit fitter. The average heart rate there for the 8 miles, 130 beats per minute, so that session demonstrating that the heart rate's a touch lower over the run, but a slightly higher pace as well, so everything's moving in the right direction, which is great to see. As I did a slightly shorter run on the Monday, got an extra couple of miles in on the session on the Wednesday, I found the Zoomfly 5 lended itself to that type of run superbly well. well. Steady effort, and I still think that it could make a really good long run shoe, especially if you want to throw some faster paced efforts in somewhere across that run. Softening up as well. I think quite a few people reviewed the shoe and they found it quite firm, I suppose. I haven't really found it firm at all. I think the Zoom X scraps are starting to sort of move about a little bit and find their way. I think out of the box the shoe's a little bit like a 2-litre bottle of Coca-Cola which has been shaken, and a few weeks later it's starting to calm down a little bit and you can take off the cap. More miles on the Thursday at a reasonable pace. So daily stuff this time around about 8 minutes per mile, so 5 minutes per kilometre. I'm finding the Invincible Run Flyknit 2 ideal for that type of stuff. It is my go-to shoe right now. I think the Zoom X here has been implemented as an impact absorber rather than some sort of high performance race spec kind of gear. It's just facilitating you to cover the mileage you would want to within a week. Some of those slower miles, you know, the base stuff, keeping the heart rate nice and low on that session, and some reasonable mileage, remembering that I want to do something a little bit faster on the Friday. It's like an aid to recovery really, even while you're running. I think you go back, your legs just feel really great still. They feel really nice and nimble, and you can put some of that effort into the faster paced stuff on the next day. So Friday came around and I went with a Garmin suggested run. The watch spat this one out of me and I thought, yeah, why not? That kind of sounds like similar to what I was going to do anyway. 15 minutes warm up followed by 7 by 1 minutes all out pace, then 3 minutes recovery in between. So a real tester and a session where I needed something that was going to be light enough to run at my best, but also give me some nice squash and cushion for recovery. It had to be the Endorphin Speed 3 really. It just ticks all of those boxes. Quick and nimble, yet still cushioned and smooth on the recoveries. I managed to get down to about 5 minutes 36 per mile pace through to about 6 minutes per mile pace on those bursts. So that translates to about 3 minutes 35 per kilometre to about 3:44 per kilometre. There's no way I could sustain that for like a 5k or something. It's just not going to happen. I'm not there yet. Maybe one day, but yeah, it's probably not going to happen. Not anytime soon anyway. Probably could do it for a mile. Might be worth doing that at some point. Be quite interesting to see what the results were. Maybe the St John's ambulance could be on hand to pick me up at the end. Now the watch seemed to really love this effort. It wanted me to run way above my kind of threshold pace, or at least threshold effort, I suppose. I guess one issue I've got with this run is that it's going to be really difficult to get yourself up to like an anaerobic kind of effort if you've only got a minute, and it wanted me to do a very leisurely warm-up just before that, so I tried to run at my anaerobic effort, which I'm pretty sure I did there. There was a 10-minute cool-off period afterwards, which I really enjoyed, I've got to be honest. I got some reasonable elevation in there too. Going around the trading estate is always fun. You got to keep your wits about you. On the Saturday, I tend to do one of two things. It's either going to be a rest day, completely let the legs recover, or perhaps a very easy 3-mile effort. Just keeping it really, really laid back. Now, that's a little bit down to whether I've got additional work to do that evening. If there's some sort of gig or something, then I don't want to push myself and use up all of my energy. And that's just going to wreck me if I want to do a long run on the Sunday. So it's very much down to how I'm feeling and what's kind of going on. Obviously, if there's a race on the Sunday, which they often are on Sundays over here in the UK, then you're in peak condition then. So on the Sunday, typically aim for a 10-mile effort. What I tend to look for is to do a run that's about 25% of the total miles that I'll do for the week. So if I'm doing about 40 miles, I'll look for a 10-mile effort. If I'm going up towards maybe 45 or 50, I'll expand it out to maybe 13 or 15. Now I do mix those up as well. Don't always do the long run as just a very slow effort. Sometimes I'll place in a few faster miles. Or one I particularly like doing is about 5 miles at a very easy, steady pace, and then do alternating miles on and off, or perhaps half-mile bursts on and off. So it's really very much dependent on what I'm going to be doing, you know, the following week or what I'm building up for. This week, it's simply going to be some alternating miles. Need to do a little bit more speed work this week. Nothing crazy, probably do the 5 miles at steady pace, and then do half-mile bursts on the way back. Probably aim for marathon pace, which for me is around about 7 minutes 30 seconds per mile. Or at least that's what my crazy Garmin watch reckons is my marathon pace. So I'm fortunate enough this week at least to have had loads of rest in between the sessions. so I can make some extra videos and just also let the legs rest. But it's not always like that. You know, some of us have got kids, we've got jobs and all sorts of stuff going on. Recharging the batteries though, and at least giving the legs a rest is the least you should do. But we don't all have the luxury to do that. Food wise, I'm often asked about my diet, so what do I eat? Now, firstly, I do eat meat, but not on a very frequent basis. I tend to avoid red meats. I do eat chicken from time to time. I have quite a fast metabolism, so I do tend to eat little and often. That tends to leave me feeling less bloated. If I eat a very large meal, I don't really feel like doing an awful lot else after that. Lots of water. I do enjoy coffee in the mornings, but I keep it to the morning so it doesn't interrupt my sleep. I like food that keeps the energy topped up. I particularly like pesto with little cheese. That's just heaven to me. I could eat loads of that. So that just about wraps up the training update. It's kind of where I am right now. Hopefully something in there might help you out a little bit. If you've got any more questions, let me know down in the comments. Also, let the runners know what you're up to now. What are you training for? How are you training for it? Let us know. A quick musical interlude for you. I dug back out this fantastic album from Suede. It's actually like a best of all the B-sides that they had on some of their early singles. It's called Sci-Fi Lullabies. There's some fantastic tracks on here. Most of the ones I really like though are on the first disc. There's 2 discs in total. My Insatiable one and To the Birds are absolutely fantastic. Showcases just how good Bernard Butler's guitar playing was at that period. A brilliant songwriter, this guy. Some of the melodies that he came up with, so guitar-based but so innovative yet simple as well. The best track on here though is The Living Dead. It has a beautiful acoustic guitar part. It really is fantastic, a lovely melody. Almost operatic sort of sound as well to this track. It goes to show that a lot of people think of Suede as this kind of brash, loud and grungy kind of indie band. They weren't really like that though. There was some fantastic craft to the songwriting at that time. Go and check this one out by Suede. It's called Sci-Fi Lullabies. Thanks for tuning in, cats, always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like and share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you